Hi, I'm Andrew Berman from the Mortgage News Network. You're watching a video press release. With me today, I've got Anna DeSimone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Anna's the author of Housing Finance 2020. Anna, I want to get right into this. What was the reason for you to write Housing Finance 2020?
Well, I feel that there's so much information out there for consumers on the internet, Andrew, but it all seems to be scattered. And I think that consumers today, what I call the new generation, is really not getting the full story.
Yeah.
And today's generation are people that really want to figure things out. They're information seekers. And I think that it's a generation of people that say, what can I do?
Yeah.
You know, what can I do to make my new home ownership happen?
Yeah, and most people, when they have even a fraction of the knowledge that you have, they're sharing that knowledge for the purpose of marketing. You're sharing this knowledge for the purpose of sharing information. So, and which
Absolutely right.
I think it was also great that you also wrote a Spanish version, which I can't imagine what the undertaking was. Well, what led to the genesis of that?
I know. Well, after all, it's a 300-page book, so it was a lot of work. And the reason why I wanted to write it in Spanish, and the name of the book is Hipoteca 2020, is because we have a growing number of multi-generational families now involved in the real estate transaction.
Yep.
We have parents and grandparents that are giving gifts. And these are people that have been here since John F. Kennedy was in the White House. I mean, they're English-speaking households, but when you're asking them to, verify their gift funds and sign mortgage documents, I think that when they're reading something in their native language that they took when they were in high school is much more reassuring for them.
That's powerful. That's powerful. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And listen, as industry professionals, a lot of times we talk with acronyms and talk actually in product speak. I know you did a great job of not talking industry terms. But so if you're looking at this, but what 300 pages about?
Yes.
Yeah. So about 300 pages. What's the one thing that stands out in the book? I mean,
Okay.
and it's going to be hard to pull apart. But what's the one thing?
Well, a third of the book is a resource guide.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think the whole book is a resource guide because there's 20 chapters on everything you need to know about mortgages. There's Native American, manufactured housing, there's rural housing, FHA, VA. But the third of the book...
Listen, I got to interrupt you there. I mean, there's a whole section on... you start off about down payments. I mean, I think actually the biggest obstacle, whether it's actually from people unable to save, is the down payment or people's misconceptions of down payment. And that's your first chapter. I mean, so that's the great way to start it off the book.
It is. And so it's 10 ways to cover your down payment.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. There are thousands of sources of down payment assistance in America, and my 100-page resource directory has 900 web links, 750 of which are sources to down payment assistance.
That's fantastic.
Yes. So that's what's covered in the book. But also, consumers need to know that these mortgages and these down payment assistance programs are safe and secure mortgages. So I go into the history of consumer protection laws, and there's a lot of guidance on filling out the loan application and what documents are needed to get approved on every single type of program that I've covered.
Yeah, and what's great about I mean, what most people won't know when reading the book is that you're a published a published author for industry books. Yes. I mean, for the Mortgage Bankers Association of America, you've written a bunch of books for them.
Yes.
You've written compliance manuals. You've done a lot of training. But by reading this book, you don't know that. You don't actually. You get actually the perspective from a consumer. Yes. However, I think a lot of mortgage professionals out there can benefit from reading this book too. Just learn some of the basics.
Well, there's little things like you can borrowers now they can get sweat equity. I mean, you can get a renovation loan and borrow a lot more money than you're actually paying for the house.
Wow.
Construction financing. There's so many different flexibilities now. There's additional sources of income, and there's a whole chapter just devoted to non-traditional credit and loans for people with no credit scores. And so, mortgages aren't just for people that have full-time salary jobs and all their money in one bank. I mean, a third of Americans now have non-salaried sources of income, or they're self-employed, they're independent contractors. And so I think it's important for these people to know up front, well, what kind of documentation do I need to get the loan approved?
Yeah.
And they need to know that in advance because it takes time to collect supporting documents.
Yeah. That's great. Fantastic. So listen, thank you for putting this resource together.
Thank you.
I think consumers are going to love it. I think the industry is going to love it.
Thank you.
You know, if you're thinking about buying a house, this is a great resource. If you're not even thinking about buying a house, know that someday down the road you want to. This is what will clear away a lot of the myths and make it easy to understand. Thank you for publishing. Thank you for
Thanks,
stopping
Andrew.
by.
Thank you.
All right. And I'm Andrew Berman from the Mortgage News Network. Thank you for watching.